Thursday morning, June 20th. I think technically is this later today will be the first day of summer. So if you think it's been hot, we hadn't even started the summer yet, people. So quit your whining. This is a show where only positive attitudes and commitments are accepted. Rob Browne, Buddy Martin here with us this morning. Brenden Martin behind the curtain making this thing happen. SEC Sidelines Sports and SECU are ready. Next hour, we're going to cover a lot. Omaha, SEC baseball. It's a guarantee 5 straight national championships in Omaha for the league. Gators went out yesterday, but they finished third in this last man standing competition. We'll talk about that. Coach Matt Dean joins us, John Hartwell, and Gary Harris in Tuscaloosa. Look, smash the subscribe button in the bottom right-hand corner. Allow notifications on your Android or iPhone. And I'm telling you, yesterday I'm on I-40 driving into Memphis on the bridge, going onto the bridge, and this alert pops up. Buddy Martin, a flash show he did yesterday, really good with David Moulton. I saw Franz Beard on there, but we're going to cover a lot. So, hey, get pen and paper handy. Here we come. And you see my hat? Coolmore Logistics and Transportation, Memphis-based with a global reach. You'll hear a lot about them every day going forward. We'll be right back. Brenden.
So I guess we're live, huh?
Okay, that's right. We are live. No, what was I thinking? Okay, so Coach Matt Dean's going to join us here and John Hartwell in just a few minutes.
Hey, Rob, look, here's a lesson from me. Always represent the day after your team loses.
Oh, yeah. Look.
Always. I wore this instead of my normal Gatorade hat. And I'm not going to gush about this, but it's such a remarkable few days in the College World Series. And we'll talk about that later and get your guest on. And we'll do. But right now, I just want to say thank you to Jack Caglione and the Gators and Sully. And it was a tremendous series for them. Baseball, I've never watched more college baseball in my life. The game is just blowing up. And as you said, all SEC final, another national champion. I don't know who I like, Tennessee or A&M, but it's going to be interesting.
Man, Tennessee and Texas A&M, neither one of them has lost in Omaha. And I can't remember the last time you've seen both teams undefeated. The last time Tennessee played for the College World Series National Championship in the finals was 1951. Must have been a hell of a year in Knoxville because I juggled my noggin here, my noodle. That was also a year Tennessee won a national championship in football, 1951. Texas A&M, their last national championship in football was 1939. But I don't think they've ever played in the finals, but Schlossnagle, this is his 7th College World Series for Jim Schlossnagle. Great coach, as is Tony Vitello. So you start thinking about this, man, you got two teams, Tennessee and Texas A&M, have never won the national championship in college baseball. A lot of teams can say that. But for the SEC, in 2019 we had Vanderbilt. No College World Series in 2020 because of the damn virus. The more you look at that out of the rearview mirror, the more pissed off I get.
I forgot about that. I think my mind was just purging,
Yeah, but I'm saying there was no World Series there in 2019, but 2021 was Mississippi State, 22 Ole Miss, 23 LSU, and this year it's going to be A&M or Tennessee. Bo Carter, the baseball historian, exceptional, was on the show with us Monday and Tuesday of this week. He knows Jim Schlossnagle. He talked about how wired this guy is, and he's absolutely one of the best coaches in baseball. And I know I'm having some people tell me that the link that I'm sending them when I open it up, they can't tap onto the show. I
got him right here. Who do you want?
Yeah. I don't know what it is. I'm saying
I got him right here.
Yes, this is an Aggie that watches every day out in Texas, and he was saying this is what opens when it comes on, when he taps on the link, and I'm going, okay, well, hopefully we can get that worked on. But
just check it out. Just go to YouTube
Yeah,
SEC
go to YouTube, SEC Sidelines Sports Network and SECU. Try that. But
technology. You know what I mean? It's just what it
yeah,
is.
and I say someone else sent me one and it's got hieroglyphics on there. So
Yeah.
I'm going to work on
Well,
that.
that's life. Right. Hey, let me bring one of your guests in here this morning.
Yeah, Matt. There's Matt. Okay, Matt. We've been wondering. Okay, making sure everybody's on the bus. The bus did
Matt's
not.
been here. Matt's been here. He's good.
Okay, I didn't. We got Brenden. Okay, I didn't know Matt was here. I was waiting for him to come in.
Well,
I can't bring him
we're
in.
communicating here. Brendan's almost there. I'll
Okay.
stand back and say good morning, Matt. How you doing? Good to see you. Good to talk to you. And I'll let you guys take it from here. I'm a little bit in mourning with our Gators. What a difficult, what a joyful ride, but unfortunately a sad night for the Gators. That's a tremendous.
Well, a question for you, and Matt, for both of us, probably agree. The win, 15-4 over Kentucky. Then you got to turn around. They felt good about their bullpen, but I mean, once you lose, you're walking around with the sword of Damocles hanging over your head. And I don't think Florida played scared. I don't think they were exhausted because they were used to playing in elimination games for the last month. But hell of a run. I mean, this is the 9th time in 14 years for Kevin O'Sullivan. I don't think there's another baseball team in America that did it. So, anyway, buddy, look, I'll be watching tonight, orangeandbluebloods.com. But, hey, I wish my school was there 9 times in 14 years. They weren't there this year. They didn't get to even go to Hoover. So that's a hell of a season for you.
Yeah, I tell you, if I mention Slice, I just real fast want to say his comments were so gracious after the game.
Yeah.
Talking about Florida's program, that's the way you run a program.
Yeah.
He and Sully are good friends,
Yeah.
And he was so confident. He said that Jack Caglione was the greatest defensive first baseman he'd ever seen in college football. So he runs his program right. It was a good win for them. They were dominant, and when Florida couldn't hit the baseball after going crazy, all those home runs and beating Kentucky 15-4, they came out with like 4 hits last night. But you know who got 2 of them? Caglione, and he got him by beating the ball into the ground like the old softball. He's a power hitter. He wasn't getting pitches to hit, so he just hit him on the ground and got base hits. So anyway, thanks to Jack Caglione. I'll step aside and let you guys talk about other stuff. Good morning to John, and I'll be standing by.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
All right. Thank you, buddy. Guys, you think about the competition. John Hartwell and Matt Dean out there in Omaha. That's a massive event that you see going on out there. And there's 2 teams left, A&M and Tennessee. Neither one of them have ever won the whole thing. But I don't know, John. Start with you. Your takeaways from watching all this stuff. It's what we love about college sports. And talk about a guy like Jack Caglione. I mean, he's 21 years old, and he's going to be one of the top 2 or 3 guys taken, I'm sure, in the draft. He can pitch. He can hit. We need more Jack Cagliones in college athletics, don't we? I mean, those are the good stories.
Yeah, as a baseball purist, anybody would, appreciate seeing his play. I tell you the other thing, and the outcome of the game was pretty well in hand, but I give my award for the toughness award to the right fielder from Florida, because when he hit the wall, that ball in the top of the 9th inning, gosh, I thought he was, there was no padding there. That was a shot. He ran into that wall full speed ahead. I don't think he ever lost consciousness, but he obviously was seeing some butterflies. And I do credit the training staff and Sully for going out there, and the right play was to take him out of the game, because clearly he was dazed. People talk about concussion protocol in football a lot. You don't hear it much in other sports, but that's what a lot of people don't realize. Concussions happen in a lot of other sporting events. In fact, the number of concussions in men's and women's soccer is actually even higher than it is in football. But what a tough guy there. But the entire College World Series, and it just becomes more and more popular every year, and sellout crowds, and they do a great job of it. and Omaha. It is obviously it does not generate the amount of revenue that that March Madness and the NCAA Final Four does. But boy, what a people talk about the negative things and challenges going on in college athletics. The World Series in Omaha is absolutely one of the shining spots.
It really is. And Matt, along the lines of what John said just now and Buddy said, the NCAA, as mad as we get at them, they do a great job of running all these championships. And y'all both know firsthand, we get a little frustrated. Football, again, it's its own identity completely. But I look for baseball to just keep getting more popular, and it's doing nothing also but helping Major League Baseball.
Good morning, everyone. Great to be on the show. Great to see you, Buddy. It's been a long time. And John, great to see you. I just want to add this. I think tournament baseball is one of the toughest things to play. And a great example is yesterday, you have Florida dominant over Kentucky. And Kentucky's had a really good pitching staff all year. And Florida, first of all, I'm a Chicago White Sox fan. The draft, we're sitting at 5. If somehow Caglione can slip to 5, I don't think he will. But, man, what a star. Every facet of the game, and plus a left-handed power bat, it's so valuable. You know what I'm saying? But when you look at A&M and Tennessee's fortunes flipped when they came back in the bottom of the ninth, the very first game against Florida State, which a lot of people say that was a check swing, third strike. But by winning that game, and you don't have to go in the underneath bracket, it just changes everything. Because I really thought if Florida won last night, I thought they would have won the next day, and I thought that would have been the matchup. But I think it's so difficult. You're sitting there waiting for a team. They have to play 9 innings, and they have to utilize pitchers, whatever you want to say. It did help Florida getting up 7-1 in that first inning of game 1. But getting back to the NCAA and championships, John knows this. I mean, these people, this is what their job is. They work on this event all year. It's no different than like a big bowl game back in the day too, before we got into this playoff system.
Yeah.
Living in Memphis, Tennessee, the Liberty Bowl is a venture that's just evolving every day. And I'm going to tell you what, it's another thing that's really great. You get some rest. The way they do this, it seems like it's forever, but they don't play this first game till Saturday. So all pitching staffs get a couple days. And I think that's really important to give us a quality final, because baseball is so different than basketball and football because of the arms, and then honestly, I think it's a really even matchup. Even though this year, it looked like they only played one time, and that was in the SEC tournament. A&M beating 7-4 head-to-head. But that doesn't really matter right now. I think it can go either way. And I think A&M, Buddy, he knows probably better than I do. They probably have a little deeper pitching staff, but obviously Tennessee's power is really unique. They had, I think, 178 home runs, which is amazing in 70 games. So it's going to be a tremendous final.
They got they really got the bullpen, and they're deep. But Tennessee is such a gifted team. They hit the ball so well. I love how Tony Vitello's got them playing. They're aggressive, and I like Tennessee in this game. I know my colleague Shane Matthews picked A&M early on and thinks they're the best team. Sometimes it's the emotion of the moment that matters. I think Tennessee's a tad more emotional, but Schlesinger's a hell of a coach, and I give him all the credit. It's going to be a heck of a series. I wouldn't go hard either way. If I had to make a pick, I'd probably take Tennessee.
Yeah. John Hartwell, looking, again, the NCAA, NIL, the portal and everything. We don't hear about it in baseball. You look at your program, ULM, NIL is not front and center because you're saying, how are you going to compete with Texas and Texas A&M and some of these other schools? At the same time, you can build a culture at a program. And, look, we can't walk around waiting for the other shoe to drop and worry that every day it's going to start creating paranoia, that every player on your team is going to leave. I bet you coaches have nightmares at night going, I'm afraid to turn on ESPN and look at the crawl and see that my quarterback, who I've developed, is going to be gone. Kind of is that how it really is going on? I mean, I think it's awful. In that
You know,
respect.
there are those challenges, and it's it's interesting you say that, Rob, because I was watching an interview that our baseball coach Mike Federico did last night on the local news, but there's some truth to this. Every time now that a coach gets a call from a kid on his roster, it used to be, oh, well, coach, I need this, or how can you help me do this, or my something with my dorm assignment or something like that. I think there's this anxiety that every time a coach sees his phone ring and it's one of his players, that, oh crap, is Johnny going in the portal? And that's just the reality of what we live in. But I told somebody this the other day. It's here to stay. NIL is here to stay. The unlimited transfers, as long as you're academically eligible, are here to stay. And as a coach, as an administrator, whether you philosophically agree with it or not, you either adapt and change or don't adapt and you die on the vine. I mean, that's the reality of what we're in. But I will say this too, Rob, and this goes back, I think, especially as it relates to college baseball. College baseball is, in great shape right now. I think it is actually going to get even better because of NIL. Because if you look at the opportunity for young men to go straight out of high school and into the minor leagues, if they're gifted enough, or to go play in the SEC or the Big 12 or Sun Belt. Our league is number 4 RPI. In any of these leagues, the facilities you're in, the mode of travel, the education you get, all of, the support, whether it's sports medicine or strength and conditioning, all of those things, I would argue is better, in the top 6 or 8 leagues in college baseball than it is in some of the rookie leagues or the single A teams in minor league baseball.
I'm with you there, John. I got to jump in and say, I wrote over the weekend that, you know what, it's just high AA baseball or better.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it is that you get these players basically most of the time if they go and stay there for 3 years before they go pro. Now they go to the portal, but these players, listen, Rob, how many times we talked about loyalty? Doesn't exist, right? Well, listen to this quote. Listen to this quote by maybe the guy that would be at least one of the top 3 players in the country. Some things he's the best, although he didn't get in the Golden Spikes finals, which is a joke. This is what he said. Jack Caglione took the uniform off last night. He said he knew it was coming. He wasn't prepared for it. Here's a quote. I dread the day I'd have to take this jersey off for the last time. I guess that's tonight. But I guess I just wasn't mentally ready for it. Here's a guy right to the end who just loving every minute of it. Thanks, coach. And this is what we want to hear, right? A little gratitude, which is what Vitello's teaching, I think, isn't he? Matt and John at Tennessee. He said, if you're coming to Tennessee to get your hand out, don't bother. Yeah. Now, look, I know this is the realities, and what you said is right, John. It is free agency. Look what free agency did for baseball. Major League Baseball thought that was Kurt Flo would be a disaster. It's totally changed the game. Got the fan. So I think you're right. I think we're looking at it now, another brand of minor league baseball, AA, AAA, and I can't wait because you could almost have a whole TV network on college baseball from January to June. And it's compelling, and you got a lot of fan interest. So I'm with you on that. Sorry for interrupting you, but I got kind of effusive when you said that.
No, I mean, Matt, respond to that one because I think where we are, like in the private sector, we're free to go wherever we want. I mean, if we want to move to another company, we can do it. Now, you may have a 3 or a 5 year contract, but Matt, you deal with student athletes like John does every day. I say it'll work itself out because they'll just be a new kind of athlete. And I think right now NIL money is going, but there are going to be people that look at the 3 and the 5 and if it goes to 10-year chart and they'll go, man, we've been donating money to this collective and our return is going the opposite way. this just isn't good use of our money. And you start getting into a publicly traded company on the New York or the NASDAQ, and your shareholders start going, what are you doing? Because you have to account for all that money. Now, you can do it privately, but I think there's going to be a settling of this. But right now, yeah, it's crazy. But what the NCAA could do, I think, to help would be to show a chart of the number of people that have gone into the portal and never got picked up, Matt.
Yeah, and the popularity of baseball keeps rising, as we talked about. And it's unique because baseball is what, 11.7, 11.8 scholarships, John? So it's, you build a roster 35, 40, whatever. We're seeing at my level, the non-scholarship Division III level, our best pitchers in the portal right now as a sophomore. And you watch these guys, they're always looking for arms. And then as a baseball coach, you worry at our level in the summertime, your better players go in these leagues. A lot of times in the Midwest and Northeast, they play in some of these leagues. Then all of a sudden, we have a lefty that throws 89, 92 that throws strikes. And all of a sudden someone says, gosh, I'd like to have that guy on my roster. And it's hard for us, but there's nothing wrong with that. I just think baseball's in a great spot right now. The quality of baseball, buddy, I totally agree. It's like watching a AA game out there. And why would you leave if you've got these facilities, John? You're traveling well. And for the first time ever, you got some NIL money, right? You got some money. I played baseball. My sons played baseball. I have a great relationship with our baseball coach. And our sell now, too, is the kids. We're saying, hey, if you're a fringe level Division I prospect, come with us for 2 years and we'll help you get to the point where someone will pick you up in a portal. And we're dealing with that because honestly, we'd rather have them for 2 years than 0 years. So NIL and the portal are finally being utilized. We've had a little bit of time to figure it out, but it's really trickled down to even our level as well.
Yeah. John, as an AD, and Matt, you've been an AD now, associate AD, you're looking at this time of the year, that Supreme Court ruling was in West Virginia that said temporarily you can just transfer and come and go when you want to. Do we still hold student athletes? I mean, I'm being serious when I ask this. Do they still get report cards? I mean, I got to ask that.
Yeah, they do. I mean, and that's the one caveat. You've got to be academically eligible. But again, my concern is if you're there is a history of student athletes, young men and young women who bounce from 3 to 4 institutions. With every time they bounce, the percentage of likelihood that they leave with a degree has gone down. Now, will that continue with these, restrictions taken off? I don't know, but we're still educators. I was speaking to a group in Baton Rouge on Tuesday evening. They're still called student athletes. I know there are folks out there that are a little bit skeptical of that right now with the amount of NIL money, but we're in the education business, and the most important thing we can do is help the 400 student athletes that we have, give them every opportunity to be successful in the classroom, on the fields of competition, and ultimately give them the life skills to where they're successful in everything. And the vast majority of our student athletes aren't going to go to the NBA or the NFL or the WNBA. Hopefully we have a few, and with our coaching staffs, as I said, we've had a handful, and hopefully we have some more. But we've got to prepare them for life, no matter what they do. And I still think the core value of what we do as administrators, and to some extent what the coaches do, is to keep that education process in mind.
Yeah, and Matt, we remember. Go back, over 35 years ago, or it was longer than 35. Prop 48 came along, and everybody was always worried about, of course, getting kids in. Everybody out of high school now is eligible. I mean, there's nobody you never hear about. I remember hearing privately, I'm not going to name names, I remember this one kid, and it was about his grades, and then said, well, I'm going to tell you something. The Marines and the Army and the Navy, they got high standards. They're not taking just anybody. And I'm telling you what, people will say, well, you join them, good luck. That's a lot harder than college, okay? And that's for life. But I just kind of wonder, what I think is going to happen is there's going to be a trickle down, Matt, where people are going to get out and they'll start talking, and it'll spread all over social media. Say, man, I transferred 3 times. It was the worst and the stupidest thing I ever did. Those stories will be told over and over, and it'll get back down to the level. And I think that's how we'll start to see an adjustment. It used to be in a lot of businesses, you could make ridiculous amounts on commissions and sales, and now those numbers have gone way down. I think as we have more transparency, Matt, it's going to change things.
Well, to me, it's no different than the human resources analogy at a business or corporation. If I look at your resume, Rob, and you've bounced 5 places in 7 years and you want to work for my company, there's a bigger issue here. I mean, there could be some legitimate reasons why you've done that, but to me, it's somewhat of a cautionary flag. I'm not saying it's a red flag. I mean, you may be so wanted and so valued that everyone's coming after you, but most of the time that's not the case, Rob. And that's why the grass is greener mentality. I think John's right. If you survey the student athletes that John and I have worked with throughout our careers, and we've had probably combined 6+ decades in this business, they are doing very well. And most of the kids that I have coached or developed or led from an administrative standpoint did not go pro. Now, John's got a different perspective. He's been in some Division I places, and we talk about Jordan Love on the show a little bit too, John, and it's one of your former guys at Utah State. So, I mean, and you look at Jordan Love, his maturity, I know I'm going way off the grid here, his maturity behind
Feel free to go off the grid.
Look at his maturity of patience. He's now going to get paid handsomely, and the Packers have one of the best teams in the NFL, and partially because they made a great call. They got the right person of character to back up, an all-time great who honestly now, is in New York at the age of 40, and look at their future because of the young man that was patient and wasn't worrying about the grass is greener mentality. And I think what John and I see more than a lot of people is the consistency factor. When these student athletes bring it every day and they go and do the work outside of the football field, the basketball arena, whatever, it pays dividends in the long run. And it's not always something we talk about because we're looking for instant gratification. We want to talk about the playoffs. We want to talk about the Final Four. We want to talk about the College World Series. There's so much being done behind the scenes, and it's great stuff. And John's been a great mentor to a lot of student athletes that are very successful now.
Well, let me say this. I love this comment. Casey Goodjohn out in Claiborne County, Texas, 20-year United States Marine, also a Marine recruiter for many of those years. Wait until the athlete has an employer ask how many times they transferred. I'm telling you, that's going to be a very uncomfortable conversation. All right, I'm going to just go out off the grid here, okay?
Wait. Where is the grid? I want to make sure.
There's a 4 box here, buddy. I see 4.
Hey, buddy, the wheels are up. The wheels are up.
I think
unfasten your seat.
Here's the grid right here.
Oh, yeah, the beach. There we go.
Oh,
Panama, yeah.
Okay,
There you go. The stress level has gone down dramatically. Right down there by 30A in Panama City, Mosley County. But look, I'm gonna go way off the grid.
Bay County.
See, Bay County, that's right. That is right. That's Mosley High School in Bay County. See this guy here? This is Sasquatch. Can you imagine what kind of NIL would he get as a defensive lineman? Or how about him in the middle? I just thought about that. But I really see, John, what is happening. I know you got to go here in a minute. You got a bunch of stuff going on. We're kind of in the calm period right now. College baseball is about to wrap up, but we got an exciting series, Tennessee and Texas A&M. Do you think we can surpass 3 million viewers in at least one of those games? If it goes to all 3, at least 2 of the 3 or 1 of the 3? It could be just
our
2.
show, you mean? Our show?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And no
Well,
question.
It depends where you take the grid, Rob.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as far as the College World Series, yeah, I absolutely think so. And it's strategic that Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, if necessary, are the game dates. And like you said, it's really the only show in town right now in terms of collegiate athletics. And it's been high drama, a lot of walk-off hits in these games, and I think you've got two undefeated teams, and I think it's going to be great. It's going to be a great series, but it's going to be great for just the casual fan as well. So I think it has every opportunity to exceed.
Hey, before John gets away here, man, I got to bring this up, and I'm sorry if it's infringing on time. Tonight's a really significant night for lots of reasons. This game in Birmingham at
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Talk about uncanny timing. Just 72 hours after Willie Mays has died. And the great players, if the young people don't know about the Negro Leagues and coming up to the Negro Leagues and the great players and the 17-year-old kid, John, that was playing for the Birmingham Black Barons. And by the way, the Birmingham Barons, the white team, trained in my hometown every spring. So I knew all about the Birmingham Barons. I never heard about the Birmingham Black Barons until later. Willie Mays was such a fantastic draw. They started drawing so many people that the white Barons got kind of mad about it. And of course, the racial history now, which we hope after all these years has been somewhat not forgotten, but at least put aside.
Yeah.
A great job the city of Birmingham's done. I can't wait to watch it. We got the Cardinals and the Giants and all the great Negro League players are going to be honored tonight. What a night for baseball, because you know what? College baseball is missing. They don't have enough black players. They're going to try to correct that. This is the kind of thing I think that will help that.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, buddy. And as as a youngster growing up in the state of Alabama, and there's a lot of debate back and forth. You've got Say Hey Willie from Birmingham, you've got Hank Aaron from Mobile, you've got you can go on and on. Willie McCovey, Amos Otis, Tommy Agee. I mean, it goes on and on and on. But yeah, you're exactly right. I think kudos to the city of Birmingham and to those who got that game there tonight. And again, as a kid, this was long before TBS and everything else. I'd lay there in my bed at night listening to the Atlanta Braves, and they had a lot of losing games during that time. Hank Aaron was great. Their overall record was not, but again, brings back memories, in the late 60s, early 70s of falling asleep listening to Braves baseball on the radio.
Well, and Birmingham will do a phenomenal job with this game. That city is you starts with the Monday Morning Birmingham Quarterback Club, but just the commitment people have there for this baseball game tonight. It will be. I mean, it's going to be on TV. I mean, we got to watch it. So and I'm with you. That Tommy Agee that played for the Mets, and also from Maplesville, Alabama, who played for Auburn. That's what, buddy. You hit on it, and John, you did too. And I know you got to go, but the history of baseball, laying in bed at night, listening to a little transistor radio on KMOX 1120. Jack Buck and Mike Shannon, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis Cardinals baseball. Ernie Johnson, AM 750 WSB in Atlanta, listening to the Braves. You just can't beat baseball. Buddy's right. We're all right. John, tell people how they can follow you and keep up with you. And I wish you were my AD. You were first class.
Guys, great to visit with you all today and enjoy the dialogue as always. ULMWarhawks.com, John_Hartwell, Twitter. As you said, seasons have wound down and for those folks out there say, oh, an AD, what do you do in the off season? You don't have any teams in season right now. Well, we do have a lot of student athletes on campus for the summer. Marketing in the full swing, and trying to bring home season ticket sales. And that thing, as a guy with a financial background, it pains me sometimes now, budget wise, in college athletics, and especially at our place, trying to find enough revenue to have a budget of expenses enough for us to compete at the highest level. So enjoyed it, guys. Have a great day.
All right, we'll see you next week. Thanks, John.
I must step aside, Rob. Brendan's here, so you guys have a good one, all right?
All right, thank you, buddy. Enjoyed it. Love the hat. Hey, Gary Harris checks in with us, WVUA TV 23 in Tuscaloosa, Tide 100.9. Put that app on your phone. It's on my phone. I listen to it all the time. And Gary, want to, say sorry about your mom, and you loved her so much, and the stuff. I was talking with Jimmy yesterday, and man, boy, I tell you what, you're blessed to have a mom that you love that much, and you've been in my prayers every day, and always will be. And you asked the other day, you always got a spot on this show, man. You've been here with us from the early days, man, and we ain't ever gonna forget. The only easy day was yesterday, but glad to have you back. Hope you're doing well.
Hey, thanks a lot, Rob. Hey, Matt. I was listening to the conversation about all the great baseball players that have come out of Alabama and hearing them rattled off.
Unbelievable.
And, Oscar Gamble's another one, that was an outstanding player that was born in Alabama. And, of course, even today, you've got guys in the big leagues. Of course, Craig Kimbrell, the closer for the Orioles, comes to mind. But, it's going back to the Negro League days. Yeah, when you think about the players that came out, the Henry Aarons and the Willie Mays and the Willie McCoveys, and you mentioned the Tommy Agees, and of course, Hank's brother Tommy Aaron was a really good, major league player. So what this week has represented is unbelievable. And we've had, I had somebody go over and cover the Birmingham Barons taking on the Montgomery Biscuits, and they use their old uniforms, the gray socks for the Biscuits and the black Barons for the Barons. And then last night, that celebrity softball game, that barnstorming softball game, man, it was unbelievable. The people that were there, former major leaguers, current NFL players and NBA players, and just a who's who of big names. And then, of course, tonight it's going to be capped off with the major league game, which I still think is incredible, that you're going to have the St. Louis Cardinals and San Francisco Giants playing at Rickwood Field. And the friends of Rickwood Field have done an unbelievable job, to help this happen. It's an incredible week. And then, of course, the irony of, everybody got the statement on Monday from the San Francisco Giants that Willie Mays would not be able to attend. But I still didn't expect the next day to get a statement that he had passed away. And, the irony of that. But at 93 years old, he was the oldest living Hall of Famer. And, so there's some sadness, but the celebration that goes on this week to honor the Negro Leagues and the Juneteenth celebration, it's just, you guys were talking about it, just phenomenal for the city of Birmingham and for Rickwood Field. Having this involvement from the major leagues, of course, is, the field, the stands, everything's been completely refurbished. So now going forward, that ballpark, the oldest ballpark in the United States, is assured of being relevant for many, many years to come.
Yeah, Matt, we think about baseball. There's nothing better to attend in person, in my opinion, but also on radio. Tonight, it's almost like we're taking a step back in time to remember why we love baseball. You going to watch?
I definitely am. And guys, I grew up in the Midwest, so some of my early memories were listening to Jack Buck on the radio, the St. Louis Cardinals, great Hall of Fame announcer. Harry Carey and Jimmy Pearsall were the ones that introduced me to the game of baseball. I became a Chicago White Sox fan at 7 years old when Harry Carey was not with the Cubs yet. And Harry Carey started his career with St. Louis Cardinals and went to Chicago White Sox, ended up legendary with the Cubs. But the thing about baseball, and I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but you can listen to a lot of sports on radio, but when you get a picture painted by an all-time great, if you're listening to a Vince Scully or whatever, for me, it was so romantic. There was nothing ever like it. And then quickly on Willie Mays, as a kid growing up, I'm at that age where I never saw Willie play, but my father talked about Willie. My friends' fathers talked about Willie Mays. And then you start researching, and then you start watching some of the highlights and the iconic catches, and then you dig into his numbers. 660 home runs. I didn't realize till this week, Gary, that he spent 2 years in the service. So that took away. They were talking like he could have been the one to break Babe Ruth's record before Henry Aaron, because if he had those 2 years. I mean, there's so many things about him. And then I found out last night, and Rob, you guys may have covered this, I don't know, but I guess Dusty Baker visited him, and one of his last things, he sent like a well wish and what it meant to him for this game that's being played, that was talking about maybe at the event last night. So just what an amazing man, what an amazing player. And he touched a lot of people afterwards that never watched him play because of what their father, and the relationship between fathers and sons in baseball is just special. And that's how we learn about these great players.
Gary, you remember 7-Eleven, the trading cups you would get?
Oh, absolutely. I had a ton of them.
And, Vita Blue.
Yeah.
And you think about Rod Carew for the Twins. What would a Willie Mays baseball card be worth in today's world?
You know what? I may have one. I've still got cards from when I was a kid packed up in a storage thing, and I need to pull them out. In fact, from when we ran that store that we had over in Cleveland County, I've still got boxes of cards that with the bubble gum in them, the wrapper still in them, and still from the late 70s and early 80s have never been opened. I really do. They're still in the original Topps boxes that you would display. And even at that age, I said, well, I'm just going to keep these and never open them. So it would be kind of like Christmas to go through those cards and see what all is in there. Of course, by that time, Willie wasn't playing, but I've got cards that go back to, I think, 68 are the first cards that I have. So I need to get those things out and go through them and see what all I have. Of course, I was a big Braves fan in the 70s, and my buddy John Merrill was a big Reds fan. So I traded a lot of my best Reds cards for Braves cards, which was a bad deal from the 70s. The Braves were terrible. So I traded a lot of Pete Roses and Johnny Benches and Tony Perez's and all that for Buzz Capra and Biff Pocoroba and Carl Morton and some of those cards. But a good Willie Mays card, there's no doubt, regardless of probably what year. In fact, the Mets card is probably worth a lot because, people forget that he closed out his career as a Met, and his final game was the 7th game of the 73 World Series. You mentioned Vita Blue against those incredible Oakland A's teams, and the Mets took him to 7 games. And, Willie actually played fairly well in that series, but I need to go through those cards. But what Matt was talking about on the radio, I guess we're all old enough. We've all done it. I was, when we moved to Cleveland County, and I can remember in the 70s, listening to WSB radio out of Atlanta. And I had a notebook because, again, no internet. You couldn't get the box scores the next day, and listening to the game and tracking it and keeping a notebook of, scoring the games every night, and keeping up with it that way. And then, just, how kids are, you just like doing that, being able to go back to that. But of course, the Braves, again, were not good at all. But, it was still nice to kind of do that. And like you guys were saying, to have the picture painted for you. And of course, a lot of the games by then we could pick them up on TV even then, with WTCG channel 17, which later became WTBS. We had one of those rotary antennas, but you couldn't get, sometimes it would come in clean, sometimes it wouldn't. And, I just would like to, WSB though was clear as a bell. So I'd usually listen to it on radio anyway, but good times for sure.
Yeah, it really is. And Gary, I know we got just a few minutes before you got to get on to your show. We got Media Days coming up July 15th. I mean, it's going to be here. It's gaining fast. Okay. You say this is kind of the quiet time, but the football magazines are coming out. Everybody, the question that you talk to about Kalen DeBoer is, how's he going to do? You can't compare him to anybody because he's different. When he took over Washington, they were a 4-8 program. In 2 years, he's 25-3. What are you talking about on your show? What are the fans concerned about? And what are you reporting on that are stories that the rest of us may not even know about yet?
Well, I don't know if I have anything that you don't know about, but one thing we're talking a lot about is how well the recruiting appears to be going. And first of all, when a new coach comes in, even if they're following Nick Saban, and when Ray Perkins came in, it was a lot different scenario because Coach Bryan had passed away. But, you start trying to find the positives in the new coach, right? Everybody wants to believe their coaches. And I'm never going to make the mistake of diminishing what Nick Saban did as a recruiter. Nick Saban is the best recruiter as a head football coach in the history of college football. Period. End of story. Nobody before and probably since are going to compile the number one rated classes the way that Nick Saban did. So there's no way in the world I'm going to look at Kalen DeBoer and this staff and say, well, they're recruiting better than what Nick Saban's staff did. I'm just not going to do that because it's not going to be the case. But or that, you know, there's a better atmosphere or you know, feeling around the program. Again, Alabama was in the college football playoff and won the SEC championship in Nick Saban's final year. So It's not like he went out 8-4. You know, I think the revisionist history has already started. You know, I hear people, well, the atmosphere, the culture, oh, it's so much better. Guys are having fun. Oh, come on, man. I mean, last year they were, you know, overtime away from playing for the national championship. But I do think this. I think that Kalen DeBoer and this staff, as far as the modern game, may be more comfortable in this environment than Nick Saban was. I do think the last 3 years, it was a struggle for Nick Saban to balance the way he had always done it with the way that you have to do it now. And I think with this staff, it's just, they're comfortable with it. They're comfortable with all of the pomp and circumstance and the self-promotion that players do. And all of these videos that when players come on campus that you know, the hype videos, and, you know, they've got the music, you know, blaring at practice, and they've got internet celebrities, whether it be Roll Tide Willie or Funny Maine, the comedian, in at practice. You know, Nick Saban would have never had any of that. I'm not a big fan of it myself, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't care for that. I mean, I'm like, you know, Roll Tide Willie out there at practice and all that, but it connects with the young men. So I think that what Kalen DeBoer has been able to do, guys, is come in and be Kalen DeBoer. He, you know, I always would, when Nick Saban left, I was hoping that this would be the route that Browne would go. I did not want to see a Nick Saban protege come in and try to be Nick Saban part 2. I think it would have been a disaster. You can't be Nick Saban. So it's better to get somebody who's not trying to be and who's not referencing back to the way Nick Saban did it. So the biggest thing that I can say, and whether everybody else is reporting on this or not, is that Kalen DeBoer is his own man. He's comfortable in his own skin. He's got a nice track record as a head football coach, and he's doing it his way. And he's not doing anything different, I think, than he did it at Washington. He's not trying also to evolve into being the Alabama coach and be what he thinks Alabama wants him to be, which I've seen coaches try to do that throughout the years when they come here. So I just think the fact that he's proven, he's got a track record, he's got a good staff, recruiting-wise, they're doing really, really well. But at the same time, I don't think they're obsessed with trying to, again, nobody's going to be Nick Saban in recruiting. So I don't think he's saying, well, we got to get 7 5-stars. I don't think he looks at it like that. I think he looks at it, we got to get the players that fit our system, that we're comfortable with, that we think that can play for us. And regardless of their star value, that's what we're doing. So far, he's hit a home run. I mean, I think the guy has done everything really, really well and made a positive first impression. But again, I caution people, all the people that are texting me, oh man, the culture, the players are, they're loving this. Oh, I haven't seen this much excitement around Alabama football and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, well, now if you look up in mid-October and you got 2 or 3 losses, all that's going to be out the window. Yeah. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's going to be about results like it always is.
Yeah. Matt?
As always, I agree with everything Gary said, and I'll add a little bit of a perspective because the last 2 years with my son being on staff at Oregon, you know, I had firsthand watched 3 losses from Oregon to Washington when Kalen DeBoer was leading the Huskies. And, you know, I thought he managed some situations really well from a coaching perspective. Probably watched his teams play 8, 9, 10 times the last 2 years just because that's what I do. Now that I'm out of coaching, I follow my son's team. And I will tell you this: you look at some of the play. You know, Gary said he was 4-8 when he got the job. Maybe Rob, you said it. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Washington was in the 2021 season. Yeah,
and he goes 5-3 in 2 years. And honestly, last year, man, what a magical run! Because I was at the Pac-12 championship game. Oregon was favored in that game, and I thought Washington came in, and even though it was a 34-31 game, I believe it was a 3-point game. They kind of got on us. They jumped on us early, and they kind of controlled the line of scrimmage too. So things you may not know about Kalen DeBoer. I mean, you know, he's got some Midwest roots. okay, which obviously I like because I'm a Midwest guy. But I do think offensively he's going to really help some growth at the quarterback position. But I'm like Gary. I mean, you know, all this fun at practice. I'm an old ball coach, right? And I didn't like all the stuff I had to transition to. And I was actually excited to go in administration after 26 years on the bus. And you know, the proof's in the pudding. Gary's so right. If we're seeing Bama 5-2 at the midway point or whatever, people are going to be quickly saying, "Well, we had fun at practice, but how much were we practicing?" You know, that's how quickly it turns, right? You know, so we'll see.
Gary, that's a good point. And now, you know, there's not a day that goes by. What makes your job and our job on this show so much fun is how much people care. And I think you said it right. One question. All the guys are there for the summer. Everybody's reported in the practices. Kind of close out with that and then let people know how they can follow you, because I know you got your show at 9.
Yeah, it's really a busy time right now because again, it's so different than it used to be. You know, even not that long ago, you know, 15, 20 years ago, freshmen didn't even show up until August, and during the summer, you know, a lot of guys went home. But now they're all here. You know, their workouts are going on, and you know, guys get together and you know do 7-on-7 with each other. So it really is a year-round deal. Of course, Jalen Milroe is making the rounds. You know, he's been, you know, he was at the race over at Talladega, and he was at the softball game last night, and he's doing a lot of, you know, the celebrity stuff. And also a lot of the guys are doing camps now because they're part of the NIL. They hook up with these companies and do camps. And I think you got Ryan Williams and help me out. My mind just went blank. The running back, Justice Haynes, and Ryan Williams
from Buford. Yeah,
they're doing a camp this weekend, so a lot of that's going on. So it's busy time. As for me, at Gary Harris _WVUA on X/Twitter/Twix, whatever you call it. My Gary Harris WVUA 23 Facebook page. I'm very active there, and of course WVUA23.com and Tide109.com. And you can listen to my show here in just a few minutes. Download the app, Tide 109 app, or go to listen to the stream at Tide109.com. Good to see you guys. Thank you.
Thursdays are always better with Gary Harris. Take care, man. See you next week.
Man.
Hey, Matt, I like what you said. You watched so acutely Washington and Oregon, and they beat them 3 times over the last couple of years. This is going to be fun. Again, we have to play the games. We all know that. Practice is more fun and all. That's from people. Listen, practice is more fun when you're winning 6 national championships in 17 years. You know that is the case.
Well, and you know, it's interesting because Saban was a DB guy. He was a defensive guy. We saw the intensity that Saban brought, especially on that side of the ball. And even those years, though they were having the utmost success, the offensive coordinator role, we had, you know, I'm not saying musical chairs, but we had some different OCs in there, right? You know, you go like Kiffin, you know, Bill O'Brien. You know, you got all this, you know, Sarkisian resurrected his career a little bit, and look at him now in Texas. So, I mean, I'm just telling you, I get the energy. I get everybody's all loosey-goosey. But, man, give me Nick Saban in Iowa for 6 out of 17. Boy, I would take that, and I wouldn't need anything else. But I do want to give Coach DeBoer a lot of credit because I really think he's a great offensive mind. What their offense did with Michael Penix Jr., who was coming off multiple injuries, who had a really good start in Indiana, got hurt, comes back. He took a chance on Penix Jr. in the transfer situation. Rome Odunze, I think, you know, he slipped to number 9 with my Chicago Bears. He's going to be a stud, the wide receiver. Defensively, they kind of did it with some mirrors because they were really an offensive team, but I'll give them credit. In big moments, they got stops. And that's what this culture is this year, this time in 2024, Rob, of football. It's like, hey, how many times can I hold you a field goal? How many times can I make you punt the ball?
Yeah.
I may give up a bunch of yards. I may bend, but if I don't break in the red zone and I can score touchdowns, which the board does. I mean, and honestly, I think if his running back, I believe it was Johnson, doesn't get banged up in the semifinal game, I think they may have had a better chance in that Michigan game because they got really one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, Michigan, was working on this for multiple years. Harbaugh had great lines of scrimmage. J.J. McCarthy. But even that said, with 4 minutes to go in that game, Rob, it's 20-13 Bama. I'm talking about the semifinal game. Neither one of us would have taken Michigan live betting right there. Let's be honest. Alabama was in control of that football game, and then Michigan has a huge drive to tie, and they won the overtime. And let's not forget that one tip pass the one pass that was almost tipped that helped on the completion. I just think college football is in such a good space right now. We're not even talking about, the fact of Texas, Oklahoma coming to the SEC, looking at Georgia, Texas, the Georgia-Texas matchup this year, Rob. Oh, my God. How cool is that going to be? You're right, Rob. It's, when we get through, we just got done with the NBA Finals, but a lot of us don't care about that. I get it. We're going to get ready for the baseball final. Next week, Rob, this time next week, you're going to probably ask a lot different questions. It's going to be centered on football.
Yeah, and it is. And I saw another preview of the 1 through 16 predicted order of finish in the SEC. And they've got a 5-way tie for second. This particular poll did. It's got Texas finishing first at 11-1. I don't see that happening. I think Texas will be good. I'm telling you, not having Bo Davis, and the day it was announced Bo Davis was leaving Texas to go to LSU, I think that's the same day Nick Saban retired, or within a day of that. Bo Davis is the difference maker. But they got a 5-way tie between Ole Miss, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama, and LSU. All 5 predicted to go 6-2 in the SEC and 10-2 overall. They got A&M 9-3 at 7th, Mizzou at 9-3, Oklahoma and Auburn at 8-4, Florida at 6-6. Kentucky 6-6, South Carolina 5-7, Arkansas and Mississippi State at 4-8, and Vanderbilt at 3-9. So look, the interest, it just keeps growing, just like this show does. Thank you to all of our viewers. Tap on that link that we send you in the mornings. Subscribe to YouTube. It's on Facebook, Twitter Live now. We're growing in a lot of places. Dan, this is a fun show. They're all fun. And support our sponsors. You want to go to our website, sidelines.live. All the hyperlinks are on there. You got the QR codes up here on the screen. Was out at Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, one of our sponsors on the square in Collierville, hewlettandunn.com. They've got these Mercedes Anderson Bean boots. God, they've got more cool stuff. It's like taking a drink of water from a fire hydrant when you go in there. And they've also got these shirts, the polos, Acres Down South, the SEC, the Big 12, the ACC. Pick your school. They've got it, or they're making it. They've got a lot of these shirts. They've got these hats that say Oxford and Starkville. There they are right there, stuff like that. And I'm sure Gator fans, Alabama fans, Arkansas fans, those hats are on the way. That's a new company, so we're going to find out more about them. But they've got 4 different polos for Tennessee. One of them is Smokey the Hound Dog, who, by the way, we've now confirmed flies to all the games. Those are shirts right there. That's an Ole Miss shirt. I think that's an Alabama shirt there. But they're great-looking polos. There's the Tennessee logo and Mississippi State, what they call the Junction, or the district, because of the Cotton District in downtown Starkville. So, Matt, you're right. I can barely control. I am so excited about this football season. You know why? Because we'll be talking about the games, and we know how this stuff goes. As the fans get frustrated with all the distractions of portal and NIL and everything like that, we can't beat college football, college basketball, the World Series and all that. But I'm going to bet we crack the 3 million mark for viewers in at least one of these games coming up, okay, in the World Series. Yes or no? I think we do it.
And yes, and my last thought on that, Rob, is you're going to pick up some viewers because NBA Finals are over, right?
Yeah.
And right now you got 2 electric teams. I mean, we haven't talked about this portion. Tennessee's got 58 wins. If they win this thing, they're going to get 60 wins. That is incredible, But honestly, I still think it's pick 'em because A&M's got 52 wins, and they are playing lights out right now. They're playing really well.
Yeah, A&M is Jim Schlossnagle. 5 times to the World Series at TCU, second time in 3 years at A&M. A&M, their fan base will go absolutely bonkers, insane if they win the national championship, as they will in Knoxville. That's what's so cool. Neither one of these teams have ever won the national championship in Omaha. Bottom line is, folks, it's awful easy to get caught up in all the negativity day in and day out. You pick the social media thread or the paper, turn on the TV, do yourself a favor. Don't listen to that crap. Talk to yourself and just say this, get out of life what you accept. We are on the verge of some of the best years ever. You want to be a cynic, do it at your own risk, okay? I have no time for cynics and cynicism. Oh, well, it can't be done. Well, I don't want to hear it. It'll happen. Folks, we live in the greatest country in the history of the world. We are the most blessed people in the history of the world. Most often we see the face of Christ in the least among us. Think about what that means. Go out and make some great things happen. Get your friends, family, and neighbors to watch Sidelines, SEC Sidelines Sports Network, and SECU. Be a subscriber. We'll be back tomorrow. We've got a great show lined up. A guy that's coached at Ole Miss, at Alabama. He's good friends with Billy Napier. He's going to be one of our guests tomorrow on the show. Get ready. Get pen and paper handy. We're out of here. Thanks for watching.
In a perfect world, you'd set a health goal and results would happen overnight. In this world, the real world, it takes time, dedication, and the right support to achieve your best self. The Vitamin Shop's health enthusiasts are here to make sure you're not wasting a single moment on the wrong supplements. From the highest quality sports nutrition and superfoods to the most sought after trends, you'll find a huge variety of science-backed solutions for every goal. And the people to help guide you along the path to greatness.
Unbelievably, every 2 minutes in our communities, a child is either bought or sold for sex. I am Ari Dickey, board member for the Nashville Anti-Human Trafficking Coalition. Join me and millions of others in our fight against human trafficking and for its victims by helping to educate the most vulnerable among us, our middle and high school students. Go to nhtcoalition.org, become a partner, and help keep our families safe, because none of God's children are for sale.